After Party on the Power Trip Podcast Network.
Rolling. Now. Go. 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
Action.
okay, great. Yeah, this is the After Party Podcast.
Hi.
Everybody's very, very excited.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys are a ball of energy today.
I'm hitting the wall, like, not in terms of, like...
I'm tired.
I'm not coronavirus burnout. Like, I'm just, I don't know.
I'm just
I'm
tired.
just tired, too. I was up to, like, 11:30 last night, couldn't fall asleep.
Doing what?
What was I doing? I watched Colbert.
Making sweet love.
I'm struggling with the late night talk shows. I've always loved late night TV. Even like, Carson when I was really young, Leno and Letterman, Conan was like a huge idol of mine in the late 90s. I love all the guys now. I like Colbert, I like Fallon, I like Kimmel, Seth Meyers, James Corden. I like all of them. I just like just different waves of comedy. All of them are struggling right now. I just can't get into the at-home bit.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel right. There's no laughing. I don't want a laugh track, but just jokes to nothing almost always feel like they're falling flat. I'm struggling. I'm watching them, but I'm not really digging them. Most of the bits fall.
That sucks.
I wonder how the ratings on those things are. Those have to be in the tank right now. I know a lot of people are at home watching.
I wonder.
But I can't imagine.
That's a great question.
I feel the same way as you. I turn those things on. I'm like, I can't do this.
But I wonder if people are staying up later because they're not commuting to work. So maybe instead of going to bed, there's a greater nighttime audience.
But as you would always say, there's so much to watch.
There is so much to watch.
Yeah.
You realize that watching Kimmel or any one of these guys tell jokes in a sterile environment is not cool, not fun.
Right.
Then you just go to Netflix and you go to Hulu and you just go and watch other things.
I don't know. I wonder how fast they're going to come back, right? If states start to truly open up, and I know a lot of those shows are filmed in California, so that's a problem, but at least the ones that are filmed in California are going to have a problem, but the other ones are in New York, so I guess they were both in hot spots, kind of. But still, I wonder if those go back to the studio when everybody else starts going back to normal life. Like, are they going to be a month away from going back to the studio, or are they going to wait 6 months?
Oh, gosh, I think they're going to have to go back.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, think about, like, for Conan, for example. He's got the Turner connection. They've got, like, studios in Georgia. Does he go to, like, Atlanta and do a show from there?
Yeah, and they just redo his studio in Atlanta. Yeah, the average listener would know the difference.
No.
But to your point, Ben, about like Dana White was hell bent on being the first sport back. Like, we're going to be the first ones. I want all eyes on the UFC.
Yep.
I wonder if that's a big time strategic play to be the first late night talk show host to go back to normal. And if it is, because everything's political now, and if it ends up being like a statement, like, oh, so-and-so is ready to go back, and are the other hosts going to like draw a line in the sand and say, well, we're not comfortable with that yet, so we're not doing like, I wonder if that's going to be a thing or not. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying I wonder if that's going to be a conversation.
I wonder if it's I like the competitive angle with it, but I do wonder, now this is going to take a turn for the political, and I'm not really trying to, but I just think that this is the reality that I think there's going to be a lot of these, NBC, CBS, whatever, they're pretty liberal fan bases. And I'm going to guess that if they play that angle and rush to come back, a lot of their base is going to be like, what are you doing?
Yep.
Like,
maybe.
That's not a competitive angle. You're being reckless. And they might actually lose people by doing that.
Unless you go back to the studio but don't have a packed house, right? If the Ed Sullivan Theater is
empty,
50% full or empty, right? Maybe you almost take a sports angle, like the NFL playing to an empty stadium. Maybe, but again, Colbert did that, right? Like, I think maybe a couple of them did, but I definitely watched a Colbert episode or two right at the end.
Kimmel, I think, did it.
Okay, too. Kimmel did it too? It was weird when he did it to an empty theater. The only people that were in the seats at the Ed Sullivan Theater for Colbert were staffers. And it was maybe, 25 people spread out through that entire giant theater. And you could barely hear them laughing in the background when a joke actually landed. You could hear them bleed through a little bit. So it was awkward.
Yeah, that's tough.
But in a very small bubble, when we didn't know they were all going to go home for the next 3 months, I'm like, this is kind of awesome. Like, this is really, really different. Again, that's almost why I want to see an NFL game to no sound.
Right.
It was such a weird vibe that I couldn't take my eyes off. I'm like, this is so strange watching him do this to no one.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have worked for 3 months. That's why they all went home.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the reasons why they all went home. But
whose beer is that?
that wild beer, it's been here forever.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
I've never noticed it.
I mean,
it's hockey because of the brand, but where did the fuck did that's been here a while?
I think so.
that's the first time I've noticed it.
Right. There's no way that's been here a while.
No.
I think
way.
it has. I
'Cause
think
I
it has been. Just throw it away.
I put this.
That's
up
been
here.
there forever.
Right. Well, that's been up there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, longer than that. Is
The
that
hell
peanut butter?
Peanut butter?
Oh, it's
Vegemite?
Cream and mushroom soup?
Chef Boyardee beef ravioli. So
Jesus
if you guys
Christ.
are hungry later,
That stuff wails.
it's so good.
Warm or cold? I'd eat it cold.
right out of the damn can. Because they put the fucking easy rim.
Oh, yeah.
thing.
Yeah, Easy Rim.
Yeah.
Love
Let's see
that.
the easy rim.
Yeah, you can
Let's see you operate the Easy Rim.
Yeah. What do you mean? You just
Just lick it.
pull the tab out.
Yeah, I would eat if you had a
You'd
fork.
eat
I'd
rim?
eat it. Yeah, Shit, yeah, I would. Yeah,
You wouldn't just use your fingers on
No.
the rim?
No, not my own.
Oh.
Yeah, sure.
what I heard.
Cut your tongue on that rim, though.
Yeah, gross. You're not licking a metal rim.
No.
Paul, would you sleep with a gal? Back to this ant cosplay stuff.
Yeah.
What if a gal wanted to dress up as a queen ant and you were
No.
one of her colony members?
No. Even though I
But she needed to be
Even though I have
serviced.
4 of them on my leg, insects weird me the fuck
Yeah,
out.
but this is a hot chick just dressed as an ant.
No.
And she wants
No.
to be called the queen.
What if she was just face painted like an ant?
that'd
like,
be
not
even
in a
weirder.
costume, but
no,
just like
then it
face
would look
paint.
like my wiener was getting eaten.
What is face painted like? Is that like blackface? Like, that's dangerous.
Yeah, that- I'm
you
not
can't-
into
you
that.
You better not paint yourself
Maybe you
like
could
an
be
ant
like a
and try
red
to run
ant.
for president.
Yeah, don't do that.
You could
Yeah,
be
but if
you could be a fire ant. Good
could
point.
be a
Well, I know what he wouldn't be. He wouldn't be an ant eater.
That's what my sources say.
I definitely would be. You're a bunch of fucking twats.
No, that's what you won't.
Well, why don't you just do it?
That's
That's not
I
what
do.
everybody down the hall says. Just do
Your
it.
sources are
You're an adult,
shit.
man. Just try it.
I have. You don't eat pizza.
Yeah, there's a couple things I will though.
Yeah, I'm well versed in that.
Oh yeah, give us one verse.
Actually, maybe I'm not. Yeah, I am. I'm in. I do it. It's great. It's
Ben,
fun.
yesterday on this very podcast, we were discussing whether or not Meat Sauce will ever get remarried because he claims no, and Marnie and Zach and I mostly disagreed. Give me, without Sauce jumping in yet, because he'll reveal his answers in a second. Give me the scenario that you think is most likely for him to get remarried, even though I just admitted that he says he claims that he does not want to.
Sauce, you're how old?
37.
Okay, I think that you will be remarried by the time you're 47.
I'll be dead by then.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, like we said, you're going to get remarried.
Brilliant. Well played.
Yes. So my answer is yes. Yep.
Tell him why you don't think you will.
I just don't want to. I don't think I ever will. I don't want to get remarried.
Why, though?
I don't. And it has nothing to do with the first time.
Right. Yeah, none of this has to do with the
none
first
of it has
one.
to do with
Right.
the first time.
But I just, no. I don't.
Is
I
it
don't know.
financially related?
No, I don't care about that because I'm flushed with cash.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know. My biggest problem is like I get way too attached, and then when that like stops because I'm a 37-year-old child, like I don't know how to react to it.
But how would that be
I don't
different if you
take it
got
well.
if you got into a, let's say you were with somebody for 10
'cause
years,
everything ends.
but you never, right? But well, yeah, that's how life works.
Yeah,
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You love Muppet, right? With everything.
yeah.
Oh, don't marry your dog.
No, I'm not doing that.
Gross.
What do I look like?
But
Hockey?
but in reality, a lot
Yeah.
of people, dogs don't last more than, let's say,
No.
15 years.
And now she's got this weird red lump on her chest that I have to get looked at tomorrow. So
Now, I know
Yep.
it's not the same thing, but you love her with everything. Would you not get another dog?
eventually, yeah. But that's different.
How is that different?
It's different because the dog, you don't know, but you're pretty much, there's an expiration date on a dog that you know is coming.
But you still give that dog all of your love, right? Even though you know that there's expiration date.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
Let me ask you like this then. To Ben's point, do you believe you'll be in love again at some point?
Yeah.
Well, then if you're in love with somebody, why would you completely eliminate
I don't know.
Okay,
marriage?
I don't want to go through the whole thing.
Okay,
I don't want
maybe
to go through. Yeah.
Maybe we're talking semantics here.
I'll tell you why. Because I'd be embarrassed, not because of the person. The person. If I found someone who I liked enough and loved enough to marry, I would. There had nothing to do with them. I just would be embarrassed to go through it again.
Why?
Because to me, I mean,
so maybe that's what I'm talking about.
I would hate to like.
Let me stand up for you.
Hey,
though.
Randy.
Look at
hey,
it like,
Luke.
No,
hey, Sean.
okay, but
You want to be in my wedding?
But that's
again?
what I'm.
But look at it like this,
And,
dude.
people
Everybody that knows you and knows what you've gone through in the last one. Don't you think all of us would, instead of be like, he's doing this again, we'd all be like, fucking great. Like, this is we'd be so much happy for you times two.
Sure.
We'd be like, this is exactly what he deserves.
And I appreciate that.
Nobody would roll their eyes and be like, another one?
But I would.
Yeah,
I'd be like,
okay, but this also goes to if the gal that you marry this is her first wedding and she wants a real big wedding, like a standard wedding. You would be so excited for her. I don't think you would care about you as much.
Yeah, that's probably right.
Or if it's her second or third marriage, right? Then maybe you guys both say, "Hey, look, I want to marry you, but we don't need to go through this whole thing." A lot of people have very small second weddings.
The perfect second wedding, and I was in one, was John Creasel's, and him and Kayla's second. It's both.
Yeah, I was there too. It was great.
Yeah,
super small, super quick, classy.
It was great. It was very well done.
So why wouldn't you do something like that? That was great. Creasel's was awesome.
Yeah, I don't know.
I actually think the real answer here is, again, I think maybe we're talking semantics here. You don't need to have a wedding.
Yeah.
You don't need to be married.
Yeah.
I do think that you will end up living with somebody long term.
Which I'd be totally fine with.
We talked about that. The Goldie Hawn, Kurt Russell
it'll
plan.
end up being a common law deal where you both agree that, let's not do the whole pomp and circumstance of a wedding and getting married. We don't have to make this official.
Yeah.
We like this idea that we're not completely and 100% attached, even though we are. Let's just live together, operate like a married couple, and then move on.
So can I give you one piece of advice since I just lived this the last handful of years? If you are not married and then one of the two of you suffers a tragedy, though, it's a fucking nightmare. That's the reason. Like if you are all right, we're paired up forever. We're just not going to go through all the legal garbage. I would say go through all the legal garbage to protect the other person if shit happens to you.
Yeah. But isn't that what a will is all about?
Yeah, but I'm not sure. All I know is I watched my mother-in-law go through this the last couple of years since my father-in-law had a stroke and then of course died a week and a half ago.
That sucks.
Legal nightmare the last couple of years dealing with insurance and selling of a house and like cars that were in his name. Like if you don't have everything lined up, it's kind of a pain in the ass. So I'm not a law expert. I can't even break down the specifics. I just know how much stress she's gone through in the last couple of years trying to get that shit figured out. It's not easy.
Yeah. The buddy of mine's dad, he had been with this woman for 10 years. It was just, obviously after his divorce or whatever he got with her, and they both decided they weren't ever going to get married and everything. And finally, like, they were like looking into the legal stuff and like, fuck, we got to do something. So they had a mini wedding out at the Hennepin County Government Center, and people got dressed up, and it was just this little tiny thing. But that's much better than the alternative, especially if you love someone. You probably want to have that stuff taken care of.
How about this? Here's another idea. Just keep this in the back of your head for 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Even if it's a first marriage or a second marriage, you just round up your crew and you do a frickin' Vegas wedding.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Quick ceremony, everybody parties. Everybody would be thrilled to be in Vegas anyway, and you move on with your life.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I'll do that. Who knows?
And a greasy chapel.
Or here's one other option that we haven't discussed because Marnie was in the room and I felt awkward suggesting this. Or you just bang chicks the rest of your life.
Playboy.
And never give them any sign of security or longevity.
Do you think Leo's buddies are having this conversation with him?
Well, but Clooney's friends probably did, and at some point they talked him into it.
Yeah, you're
Clooney's
right.
like, all right, this chick's a lawyer. She's awesome. Let's get married.
I forgot he's married.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's super smart and successful.
Yeah. I've been to his home in Italy.
Le como?
That's a little misleading. You've seen his home. Been to his home means this way, Mr. Lambert.
I've seen it up close.
Right through the atrium.
Lake Como is the coolest fucking place I've ever been.
Okay, so
in
remind
the
me though,
entire world.
is that the same house that's in Ocean's 12?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So his house is the one
Yeah.
that's like, what was the guy's Francois Touloum? Is that his name?
I think it's
Touloum?
Isn't it's
The
the
hell was his
house
name?
that the night stalker,
the Night Fox.
he lives in, or they,
Right.
yeah.
So
It's
that's
that
what
house.
came
Came
actual
first,
house?
the movie or the house?
He said he saw the house on he was, because this is going to show how stupid I am, but don't Italy and doesn't Lake Como and the Swiss Alps kind of
I think so. I think
meet
you're right.
up?
Yeah.
Like you can ride up into the Swiss. If you're going to go anywhere, go to fucking Italy. Go to Lake Como. It is sick. But the house
got Sparky to seal.
Yeah, whatever that means. He was driving. Was on a motorcycle ride, and he saw the home when he was riding through the Swiss Alps in that area, and he saw that home, and he was like, "Well, I fucking want that house." So I think he just offered the people who owned it enough money, and they were like, "All right, cool, we'll move out."
So he bought the house and then he let them film in it?
Yeah, some of the movie.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
It's a sick brag way of showing off your badass
without
house.
being like, hey,
is everybody that's watching Ocean's 12 is like, man, this guy's got an incredible house. That's my
that's
house.
my bedroom.
We shot at my house. Think about it, Sauce, too. When he filmed Ocean's 12 and he bought that house in Lake Como, he thought it was a bachelor pad.
Yeah,
He thought he was going to live his
Yeah,
life
and
out
it's a
just
sick bachelor
slaying
pad.
chicks.
yeah.
He thought it was like Robert California's place in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And it turned out to be a place for a family and a home. And a life together.
Yeah.
I wonder if did he actually just sleep there when they were shooting? He'd be like, I'm just
Maybe.
done with my shot. I'm just going to go up to my room.
I would think you would almost have to, right? You're not going to a hotel.
Yeah.
You're not going to sleep
I
in a
just don't
trailer.
know how much of the house they took over.
Wasn't
with
almost?
production.
I think almost all of that scene was just shot outdoors,
Right.
if I remember
Yeah.
right. Just on on the with the view on the lake, right?
Yeah, I don't remember much of the interior.
God, that movie had so much potential.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
The first
though.
one and the third one are great.
Third one's okay.
The
First
middle
one's
one,
awesome.
The middle one is the
Middle
worst
one's
one.
just
The second
terrible.
one
Third,
sucks.
Yeah, third
But there's
one's fun.
moments. I love the concept of the second one.
Yeah.
I like the whole idea that they stole it before they were challenged to steal it, kind of a thing. Like
Yeah.
that.
The first one fucks.
Yeah, I love that whole vibe.
That's
man.
so rewatchable.
I love heist films.
Every time Ocean's 11's on, rerun or whatever, I will watch it on a Saturday afternoon.
Who saw Ocean's 8? Any of you guys? The
Not me.
all-female one?
I did, yeah.
And?
It's,
Awful?
it's as I've said before, just
Same
like
thing?
the Ghostbusters, it's the same film. The first 15 minutes of it, you're like, this is really fucking cool. And it's just the same film.
I don't get that whole concept of redoing movies because there's movies like Bridesmaids that it's all female cast and it's phenomenal, hilarious, and original. And I don't know, I don't get the whole bit of doing these movies from
Just a
10 years
money
over,
grab.
I
Money.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
Well, we got 2 more minutes.
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, this is great.
By the way, one other theory, Ben, that we've discussed when it comes to Sauce and relationships is he's being awfully quiet about who he's been talking to or spending time with, and all of us think that he's got somebody because he's keeping his mouth shut. Because Sauce can't keep his mouth shut.
Right.
So the fact that he is keeping his
No,
mouth
I can
shut...
keep my mouth shut on a few things.
That's not what I hear.
Okay.
So our theory is that he's got somebody. He's just trying to hide her. And I
How
can't
often
blame
do you
him.
see her, Sauce?
It's none of your business.
Well, that's
He's on his phone
confirmation.
right now. He's texting her right now. Snapping her.
What
That's
about a
correct.
Vegas wedding? Would you do that?
Does she stay over?
She
She's
over
seen
there.
your palatial apartment?
She
It's a
working from
condo.
home?
Yeah, what does she do for a job?
Is she okay taking Muppet out?
No one's allowed. I take my
How tall is she?
6'10".
Wow.
Is her last name Bowl?
Damn it! Fuck. You figured it out.
Actually, he was like 7'5", wasn't he?
Is
how
his
tall was
son
Manute
in the
Bowl?
league?
7'6"? Yeah, Bowl.
Could hockey name one team Manute Bowl played for? With 10 guesses.
The only one I can think of is the Bullets, right?
Yeah, it
That's
was
all-
the
that's the only
Washington
one I can
Bullets.
Who else
yeah.
did he play for?
Does he know that's a team?
I don't know.
I bet he could. Jesus.
Jesus.
I bet he could. Let's ask him tomorrow. Is he back tomorrow?
Yeah. allegedly.
Hey, dude, what was the? This is such a minor non-controversy, but I haven't watched much of The Last Dance. I saw half of the Rodman
I'm still recording
episode.
it. I haven't really gone back to it.
I'm not going to. I just whatever. I was lukewarm on it before it started, and even though people were like, "Yeah, this is pretty good," I'm like, whatever. I just don't care that much. Long story longer though, as I saw on Twitter, somebody was ripping them for. There was a I think this is right. Somebody can correct me on Twitter if I'm saying this wrong. There was a newspaper article that they used a still shot of in the documentary, and it was something like 1986 standings or something. And I think they were talking about Jordan's career when he was younger, and it said Washington Wizards because they basically wanted to go back and scrub the history of Washington Bullets. So ESPN
What?
got rid of the Bullets and put Wizards over the top of it. Oh. That's what Twitter was claiming.
Well, why would they do that?
Right, there's no reason to do that.
Right, that's what
There's no reason to do that.
No.
For example, and I thought about that exact same thing last night. Since I went through Parks and Rec for like the 5th time, again, when I'm doing initials and other shit, right, I just like to have background noise on. I went through Arrested Development Season 2. I've watched Billy on the Street about 3 times as background noise. It's just whatever. I need Netflix background noise. So I just am like, whatever, Office. Let's just throw The Office on before it goes to that Peacock bullshit and it's off Netflix, right? So I throw specifically Episode 1. Episode 1? Oof. It doesn't matter. It's a Season 2 episode where Michael Scott uses a homophobic slur that starts with an F.
Yeah.
He uses your least favorite word that starts with an R, and I'm going, whoa! And again, I've seen that episode 1,000 times.
Well, and then...
But what I thought of was...
He uses the Q word in one of the episodes
Todd Packer uses that word a lot.
Yeah, where he asks Jim to punch him, and he says, no, I just got a manicure. And he goes, oh...
Right.
He goes, great show, great... It's, yeah,
well,
they use that word all
when
the
Todd
time.
Packer first meets Karen Filippelli... And he doesn't know that Jim and Karen are together. And he just goes, what's up, Halpert? Still queer?
Yeah.
And everybody laughed. And there's moments like that in The Office where you're going, wow, in 2020, that's only like a 12-year-old episode, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I don't know if we could get away with it. Definitely not on NBC. I would be floored if NBC would run that. Maybe like a cable channel or Netflix or a streaming service. But you watch those episodes, and it's the same kind of bullshit that... the E.T. controversy from years ago where they replaced the guns that the cops had with like walkie-talkies and South Park made fun of it.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, so when E.T. got re-released or like remastered, when I'm jumping all over the place because I didn't even totally get to my Office point, but I'll come back to it. And then we can get back to the Wizards thing. When E.T. and the kids take off in the bikes,
sure,
like right over they fly over the cop cars. In the original movie, the cops are holding like shotguns, right? Because it's an alien, or they don't know what they have shotguns.
They feel like they're in danger,
right? So when they re-released the movie, I believe they replaced those guns with something. I think they were walkie-talkies or something. So they took the shotguns out of the cops' hands because it's kids on bikes. Well, I think that is just so effing wrong to do that.
Yeah,
because
you're changing history,
right? Because I'm watching the episode of The Office, going, all right. I feel a little uncomfortable watching Michael Scott say these things, but in no way am I sitting there going, wow, Steve Carell's an asshole. I'm going, no, Steve Carell's, first of all, they're jokes.
It's a character.
It's acting, it's a character, and they're jokes. Now, if you think a joke like that is not funny in 2020, you have every right to say, I'm offended by that, I don't like that. But I still think for a historical context, it's interesting to see what was acceptable in 2007 and 2008. Even if people were uncomfortable with it then, and that's actually, by the way, that's the point of the joke, right? He's using the homophobic slur that starts with an F, and Toby, of course, like, you can't say that in a workplace. And Michael's like, what are you talking about? I've been saying that since I was a teenager. And he's like, you can't say that anymore. So they're even saying in the episode that's not acceptable. So I think you should leave art as it is. The trick is with like Washington's football team. That makes me uncomfortable. I don't know why it is, but and again, I'm saying there's a gray area, but I think they're different. I don't know why they're different. I just think it's like if the team was called that in 1947, sure, but now it's like it's all. I just think it's super weird. I don't know. It's like in 2020, would we do the same Steve Carell Office bits? I don't think so. So the football team thing makes me feel uncomfortable. I think there's some hypocrisy there. I'm just saying I don't know where that line is. But if I get to vote which bucket each goes in, one of them feels weird to me, and one of them feels like it's got to be untouched.
But either way, you wouldn't go back in history and scrub Redskins
No,
from
I
everything.
agree.
Like, you just
Totally
okay, we're
agree.
going to make a change and we pivot and they call them something else.
But you don't pretend it didn't exist.
Yeah, you don't
Right.
erase
Right, yeah.
history. You don't
Yeah.
filter history
That's when you get
like
in
that.
trouble.
But that's like the statues in the South of like these.
Oh,
you know,
it's ridiculous.
It's like
Yeah.
I don't want to scrub those people from history. I want to know who they were. Should they have giant statues honoring them outside state capitals? I don't think so. But I don't want to pretend like that guy didn't exist. That guy was a part of history, even if it's the wrong side of history, right? Putting them on a statue and like on a pedestal, that feels weird. Like, this
shouldn't
guy
be
was a great
revered.
general. Yeah, fighting for slavery. Like, he's an asshole. We don't need a statue of that fucker. But don't pretend he didn't exist or his ideas didn't
I
exist.
think you just go down a really tricky path.
It is super tricky.
Because whether you're talking about the North versus the South and what they stood for, there are probably monuments and statues of idolized people in the North that if you really dug in their past, you're like, you want that motherfucker to represent us?
Right.
Right.
You know what he did in his personal life? You know what he did to these people, this group of people, whatever, how he treated his wife?
That's the late Calhoun bit, right?
You can
Yeah.
do, it's like to do it when someone sees that statue, and we're teaching our kids or they're doing field trips to whatever, it could be whatever statue and monument in the North or the South. Do you think that they're talking about the virtues, the negative virtues? They're saying like, no, this we are symbolizing what this guy was on the good side of things.
Right.
If you want to dive into who he was and go deeper, by all means, go for it. But don't give me this hypocrisy where the people on the other side of it say like, oh, well, our idols have no blemishes at all, but your idols do.
Right.
Like, come on.
It's like Columbus Day, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus is pure garbage.
Trash.
But we still have a
See,
day for him.
I could understand if you want to say you want to rewrite history and say, okay, we have recent discoveries, and it's not even like recent. Like, he's not the first explorer to discover America. He gets the credit for it because it's written in the history books. But if it really was so and so, well, then we should honor that person and say like, well, no, that's the real history. We found out their artifacts and their ships and whatever they inhabited the United States or the Americas before Columbus did. Well, then that's when you change history, not because you find out he's a dick and he treated people like ass.
Yeah, slippery slope is definitely the right term, right? Because it is. There's a lot of fuzzy gray areas. There's a lot of overlap. It's hard not to be a hypocrite to pick one and the other like I just did, but it's like a gut thing. It's like a weird gut thing. Some of them make me feel uncomfortable, and some of them like, why are we touching that? Why are we changing that? It's a case by case.
If you look
thing.
at our history, though, you look at the history of any country land, it is it's scarred in like shit that makes you queasy, uneasy. Like, oh, that doesn't feel right.
Well, how about how many of our founding fathers who did a ton of great work, right? They were great leaders. They put our country on the right path. They owned slaves. And you're like, okay, that's not good. But maybe they didn't know that at the time. That's a really fucking tough spot, right? Because at some point,
time it was normal,
right? If it's normalized, it's like, well, yeah, but that's an awful thing. Well, of course it's awful, and it's easy for almost all of us to look back and know it's awful. But I don't know unless I did a deeper dive. I don't know what the public perception of slavery was when those first handful of presidents had it.
Well, I remember...
Was it a 50-50 split, or was it like 90% thought it was okay? I have no idea.
I remember learning that there were some of the people, some of the founding fathers, like, were not for it. In fact, some of them even had it, even though they weren't for it, which is a bit hypocritical. But,
a little bit.
But they also were like, well, they couldn't. They knew that they couldn't found the country and make slavery illegal right away because you wouldn't be able to unite the whole nation against the British. So they kind of knew that eventually it would be addressed, and it was
but they had to deal with it until that point.
They couldn't figure and if you think about founding, I mean, remember how much fucking bloodshed we had in the Civil War. and how the British were kind of rooting for. They took the Confederacy side because they wanted chaos. They wanted us to be divided. It sucks. I mean, there's a lot of people in history that you look at good and you look at bad, and it's so hard to go person by person. Yeah, that and try to figure out exactly who's good or bad. But like you said, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that when we have statues that are people that when you have a statue, just inherently that's supposed to be someone who's revered, and when you have literal traitors down there, I will never understand. People are, you're erasing history. No, we're erasing the part of history where we revered people who wanted to take down the United States of America. I don't like that one bit, and I don't understand it.
But also, I would, just to be contrarian about it, again, going back to what you said, Corey, put yourself in that day and time. The United States wasn't the United States that we know now.
Right.
Yeah.
The United States was turmoil. People are fighting for control of what they wanted this new world to be. So are you not going to honor people who stand for their beliefs? On that. Now, we're talking about, beliefs is a big word, and you can't protect all of it because, listen, I just got done watching the series Waco. David Koresh had.
How is that?
It's great. It's what, 6 or 7 episodes? It could have been 4.
Yeah.
But it's great. It really, if it's true, which it's based off several books of eyewitnesses, man, they make the government look awful.
Yeah,
the ATF and the FBI, fucking horrible.
No, Timothy McVeigh is one of the worst fucking people to ever walk this fucking earth. He's a horrible human.
He's got a statue in Ohio.
But the Oklahoma City bombing is part of that, how they reacted to that.
It's more about Ruby Ridge.
That too. But
that's fucking
Ruby
bullshit.
Ridge is that. I've seen a documentary on that. But
oh my God.
The Timothy McVeigh thing, who's fucking awful, and glad that he's fucking gone. Fuck that piece of shit. But he hated how the Ruby Ridge thing was handled, and then on top of it, he was at Waco handing out like anti-government like buttons and selling them and shit.
Oh, really?
When that went down, yeah.
Oh, see that they didn't even touch that part of it. But the point I'm trying to make is, yes, you can fight for your beliefs. It could be the wrong beliefs, and I think we know what to think. But at the time, a lot of people didn't know that their beliefs were on the wrong side of history.
Right.
So if you want to symbolize their fight for what they believe in when it comes to something like that, how to shape America, I don't think that we need to tear those things down and erase those people from history.
It's tough
because there's a larger story about it. Like, you can tell the story in a way that's still modernized and say, like, well, what we didn't know that we know now. Yes, this guy was this and this and this, but we know because of their mistakes, whatever, how we're living a better life. It's still a teachable moment. We can't have everything just wrapped up in this fucking fake utopia all the time.
I guess it's all about how it's handled too, right? If he's got like a 7-day celebration and there's parades and fireworks, you'd be like, wow, this is one hell of a party. This guy sucked ass.
Yeah.
But again, there's just so much gray area. It just sucks.
Yeah, if there's like a Robert E. Lee Fest, I don't know if I would go to that. But yeah, I think there's definitely gray area. I just I don't know. I feel uncomfortable because. Yeah, on one hand, I do like the Founding Fathers, but on the other hand, they were slave owners, so what the fuck? What do I do?
Again, I cringe every time I watch that Office episode. I cringe. I don't know. It's like, oh, boy, jeez.
The way he says it, though, like the ending of it, the word, which is a E, it's kind of...
instead of a OT
it takes a little bit of the bite out of it, but the way they used it to then reveal Oscar and then to end it with the... the kiss. It could have been a lot worse, but context is, I think, so important, and I don't think it was done in a hateful way, even back then.
Well, but that's not only from a viewer's perspective, but they're just truly showing that Michael's a good dude. He's just dumb, right? He's not like anti-gay. He just is basically saying like, I just don't know what to say. I don't know how to be around Oscar. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't really know gay people. Right. I've just been saying that word since I was a teenager. But it's not like, well, that's what Oscar is. That would be super over the line, right? That's just one of those. Michael's just kind of this naive moron that everybody ends up loving.
Yeah.
Well,
and you love him because he's an idiot.
And you said that's like the first episode of season
It's
2?
one of the first couples.
Well, isn't the first episode the Dundies?
Dundies is the first episode. It might be right after that, though. Or maybe it's the first episode of season 3. No, it has to be. It's episode 1 of season 3.
Season
because
3, yep.
It's episode 1 of season 3 because that's the first episode that Jim is in Stanford. So that's where Dwight calls him up to ask how we can get Gaydar, because Jim told him that Gaydar was at like Sharper Image.
Yeah, and they're all sold out of
Yeah,
it.
and they're sold out. So once Michael and Dwight find out that Oscar's gay, it's Dwight wants all the other office gays to identify themselves, and since they won't do it, he's going to go get Gaydar from Jim and then just wave everybody and figure out who's gay. Mm-hmm. It's a freaking great bit.
Waves himself and his belt goes
So,
off.
when Jim goes, when he calls Jim and he goes, "What's Gaydar?" And then Dwight or Jim remembers that he pranked him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, hang on, let me check." And he fake types. He goes, "Oh man, they're all sold out. Sorry." And they flip back to Dwight and Michael and Dwight just goes, "Okay, check Brookstone."
I love how confident he is when he's like, "It works."
Oh, that's great.
Such a great show. Yeah. Anyway, all right, that was a long podcast.
Yeah. I think we're past 20.
Yeah, whatever.
Bye.
All right, see you later.